Many people in this country may think or assume that all races and ethnicities are now treated equal and that everybody has the same rights and are treated fairly. A large majority of the citizens know and have learned about the civil rights movement and the history America's had trying to employ equity throughout all ethnicities and genders. Many citizens may assume that racial discrimination does no longer exist in this country because of all the positive steps that the country has made throughout time to provide everybody with equal rights. However, I'm here to tell you and show you that racial discrimination does exist in this country, especially in the job market in America. There is a very large gap between black and white unemployment rates, and that gap continues to grow in economic hard times like this country is having right now. Those entering the workforce right now or shortly in the future could be greatly affected by racial discrimination when trying to acquire a job or receive a job that they may like. Many years down the road, the same people entering higher quality jobs will hold the power to discriminate against races if they choose. A brief definition of racial discrimination is a situation when the way an individual is treated depends upon his or her race. Many people may think of racial discrimination only as being discriminated against with violence or sheer hatred. Violence and hatred is not needed at all for there to be racial discrimination. Racial discrimination is treating someone negatively solely based on their ethnicity, race, or culture. In the job market in America, many employees are not hired based on their ethnicity or race. People coming into the job market looking for a job are often judged on their race instead of their intangibles. This is a serious form of racial discrimination that exists in this country today. The recession has made the racial discrimination more prominent and it actually has created a bigger gap in unemployment rates between blacks and whites than America has ever seen before. Millions of Americans have found themselves out of work during the recession, and job creation was and still is extremely minimal. African Americans are facing depression-like unemployment rates during this hard economic time our country is in. For people looking to initially enter the workforce or people who are looking to enter it again, they will be greatly affected by racial discrimination. With jobs being very scarce, there will be more applicants for each job, and racial discrimination will play more of a role in many situations. There's a vast unemployment gap between blacks and whites in this country. Black unemployment is at the highest level that it has been in 27 years. Recently, black unemployment soared to 16.7% while white unemployment dropped. The unemployment gap is not enough to conclude that racial discrimination exists because economists agree there are many variables that can play into the unemployment gap. However, economics also agree that the gap is too big to be caused by extraneous variables alone. There is reliable data that removes peripheral factors and breaks down blacks and whites in subcategories such as age, education level, and location to show the existence of racial discrimination. Having an education is extremely critical when trying to apply and acquire jobs. However, education does not close the unemployment gap between blacks and whites. Blacks' unemployment rates are significantly higher at every education level attainment than they are for whites. The white rate for males 25 and older with a college degree is nearly double the rate for black males 25 and older with a college degree. The black unemployment rate for males 25 and older with a college degree is slightly higher than the unemployment rate for all whites in general. When you break down each level of education attainment by race, black unemployment without a high school diploma was 14% higher than whites without a high school diploma. Whites have acquired a high school diploma Whites that have acquired a high school diploma have a 7.5% lower unemployment rate than blacks that have acquired a diploma. Blacks with a college degree have a 3% higher unemployment rate than whites with a college degree. Education is the most vital benefit when trying to receive a respectable job in this country, and these statistics show how a person's race plays more of a factor than education does. This shows you how racial discrimination is taking place in America. Another area that may indicate racial discrimination is when you break down the two races by age. When you break down black and white unemployment rates by age, you find that in every age group, blacks have a significantly higher unemployment rate than whites do. Black residents 35 to 34 have a 6% higher unemployment rate than white residents 35 to 44. The higher rates in every category shows how the age of the races in whole, meaning the whole race of the blacks could be younger than the whites, couldn't have skewed the unemployment rate to create the large gap between the two, because the white unemployment rate is significantly lower in every area. Racial discrimination is surely affecting and will continue to affect workers going into the workforce and workers that will be going into the workforce shortly. Racial discrimination often is the result of someone not getting hired or someone getting fired. No matter what ethnicity you are, you should realize that racial discrimination is immoral and should not be tolerated and ignored the way it is being in this country. Those entering the workforce are not only affected by it, but some of them will be the future bosses and hiring managers in this country someday down the road. That's why it's crucial that those looking to go into the workforce in the near future are educated about the seriousness and severity of this problem, because many will have the power to hire whoever they want or lay off whoever they want. The next generation of workers is essential to stopping racial discrimination and will have the opportunity to put it to an end. First hired, last fired is known as the idea that the unemployment rate among African Americans rises faster than the unemployment rates for whites and begins to rise earlier than the unemployment rates for whites. The recession clearly illustrates this. The recession began in 2007 and ended in 2009. Over that period, the unemployment rate for African Americans increased by 4.3 percentage points. Since the economic recovery, the black unemployment rate has declined minimally. However, the white unemployment rate began to fall initially after the economic recovery. The racial discrimination in the job market in this country should be examined and taken more seriously. Considering what this country stands for, this is not acceptable and should be looked upon as a problem. Throughout time, this country has taken many positive actions in terms of accepting and treating everybody fairly despite diversity. However, it is evident that in the job market, not everybody is treated equally. The research that I have provided today proves that racial discrimination is very obvious in the job market. Many individuals are entering the workforce soon will be affected by racial discrimination in the job market. More importantly, many employees in the forthcoming workforce will attain the power through experience to either stop racial discrimination or to continue practicing racial discrimination. That's why it's crucial that the country educates the future working class and looks to solve and better the problem. Eliminating racial discrimination should be a high priority in this country, and most of the accountability will be put on those who are entering the workforce and in the near future.